Hello and welcome to Granada Reports. We are live with the news across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us tonight. Here's what's coming up.
Finally, justice is delivered. Former schoolmaster Richard Burrows, who abused dozens of youngsters entrusted to his care, learns that he will die behind bars.
This is a serial, pitiless, cruel, manipulative, cynical human being who deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison.
What does the future hold for the Tim Barry Jonathan Ball Peace Foundation after the centre created in their memory was sold to Warrington Council?
The daughter of our much-loved late colleague and friend, Toni Morris, tells us why she's encouraging people to be more open about grief.
Boxing clever with the Hattons, how the old guard's helping a new generation of the family top the bill.
And it feels too hot to be working, to be honest, but we carry on, and it's not going to last forever. I'll have all the weather details later on in the programme.
Well, first tonight, Richard Burrows thought he had got away with it. For nearly 30 years, he hid from the police and hid from his victims.
But today, the Scout leader and school housemaster who spent 27 years on the run has been jailed for 46 years for multiple sexual offences against young boys.
In a moment, we'll hear from our reporter Emma Sweeney, who was in court for today's hearing. But first, here's her reports.
Okay. His victims had waited for almost 3 decades for this moment. The moment when the law would finally catch up with Richard Burrows, a paedophile who'd been on the run for 27 years.
Is your name Richard Burrows?
Sorry?
Is your name Richard Burrows?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
From the mid-60s to the mid-90s, Burrows gained positions of trust which he used to abuse dozens and dozens of young boys in Cheshire and the Midlands. James Harvey was one of those victims. He's waived his right to anonymity. He was just 12 when he was indecently assaulted by Burrows.
I suddenly was aware that this man was trying to touch me in a way that nobody had ever tried to touch me before. I knew in that instant that this was not normal, this was terribly embarrassing and uncomfortable, and I didn't like it.
In February, we showed you a picture of Richard John Burrows. It's a good picture.
Police had first charged Burrows with child sexual offences back in 1997, but before he was due to stand trial, he disappeared. And despite numerous TV appeals, no one seemed to know where he was. Burrows had in fact stolen a terminally ill man's identity and fled to Thailand. And while his victims were left to suffer, he'd carved out a new life for himself in a place he called paradise.
You put in an image like that you've got.
But in March of this year, his luck ran out. Through the use of facial recognition, police made a major breakthrough.
We put in the photograph, the custody photograph from 1997 from his arrest, and the software provided a match or a couple of matches to images from news articles from Phuket, which showed his retirement due from the sailing club that he was a member of. So that was the first kind of breakthrough moment that we had in tracing him.
Today, at long last, the man described by some as evil and callous has finally been brought to justice. For his victims, a day long overdue.
This is a serial, pitiless, cruel, manipulative, cynical human being who deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Well, Emma joins us in studio now, and Emma, 46 years behind bars. What did the judge have to say today?
Well, passing that judgment this morning, the judge, Stephen Everett, told Richard Burrows that he was a despicable man. He said he was a serious sexual predator. He had a sexually warped way of thinking of which he would never be able to rid himself. 24 boys were systematically abused by Richard Burrows between the mid-1960s to the mid-1990s across Cheshire and the West Midlands. And today, the judge in this case said this was one of the most, if not the most serious case that he had ever had to deal with as a judge. He told the 81-year-old that had he been 20 years younger, he would have been looking at life in prison. But because of his ill health and because of his age, he said that he was constrained by the maximum sentence. Nonetheless, he was given 46 years behind bars, and the judge today saying, "I recognise you will never be released." Now, one of the most standout features of this case, we heard there, when he was first charged in the mid-90s, he fled. He went to Thailand and he hid out there for almost 3 decades. Today, the judge saying he had no doubt, were it not for the fact that he had got cancer and he'd run out of money, that Burrows would be still trying to hide in Thailand. He said he had shown no remorse. And today, as he was led out of the courtroom, he showed no emotion. After he exited the courtroom today, the judge said to the victims that he hoped that they would now have some peace.
OK, Emma, many thanks indeed. Well, if you're affected by the issues raised in Emma's report, our website article on it has links and phone numbers for organisations which offer support.
Well, next tonight, the Warrington Peace Centre has a remarkable legacy. But what does the future hold for it now, as the foundation behind it makes big changes?
Yes, the Tim Parry Jonathan Ball Peace Centre was created in memory of the 2 boys who lost their lives in the Warrington bombing. While the building has been sold to the council, the charity aims to continue its hugely important work promoting peace in communities in the UK and around the world.
It was founded by Tim's parents, Colin and Wendy Parry. They say most of their work now takes place in the community, and that will continue as a lasting memorial to the boys. Our correspondent Anne O'Connor's been speaking to them.
In the decades after the deaths of 12-year-old Tim Parry and Jonathan Ball, who was 3, the Peace Centre in their name has seen Tim's parents help thousands caught in conflict. The centre, now bought by the council, will educate pupils with special educational needs.
We've had some lovely letters from young people who have basically said to us, you know, listening to you and how you coped with losing Tim, and you're not bitter, has, you know, made me feel like I can, you know, do better things as well in the future. And it's just nice to know that you've changed somebody's life.
The 1993 Warrington bombing has been described as a turning point in the peace process in Northern Ireland. In 2013, the couple met Martin McGuinness, widely believed to have been a key figure in the IRA.
Now, some people say that's disgraceful, you shouldn't have done because his people killed your son. Yes, I understand that.
And a lot of people turned against us for doing that. But, you know, that's why we did what we did.
Why did they turn against you?
Because we spoke to Martin McGuinness.
You're supping with the enemy kind of thing. You know, simplistic criticisms that are meaningless, really. I mean, how on earth do you ever make progress if you only ever speak to your friends, putting it in a simple fashion? It's only like a conflict in your real life, which has nothing to do with politics. In the end, you've got to address that conflict and speak to people who hold opposing opinions. And if you don't, nothing ever changes.
They are leaving the Peace Centre, but their foundation will continue to give grants to young people's projects, another legacy of their son.
Yeah, we often wonder how many more grandchildren we would have. And it's nice that we've got 4 grandchildren who talk about him like they knew him, because within the family we keep him alive. So I think, you still get upset. And for us, that whole time has been keeping Tim's name alive, which is what we wanted to do.
And you have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have, yeah. And whether he's looking down and thinking, hey, you didn't do a bad job there, I don't know. It would be nice if he was.
I'm sure he is.
Hope so, hope so.
Anne O'Connor, ITV News.
An incredible legacy. Next tonight, fire crews from Cheshire and Derbyshire are fighting a large wildfire in the Goyt Valley. The grassland has been burning for much of the day, and people living near Elwood Reservoir are advised to keep their doors and windows closed. The A537 near the Cat and Fiddle has also been closed.
Well, next tonight, we're catching up with the daughter of our much-loved colleague and friend, Tony Morris.
Yeah, it's now 5 years since Natalie and her sister Becky lost their dad. Our Tony, who was just 57 when he died from kidney cancer. 6 months ago, they lost their mum Kim to the disease too.
Kim had pancreatic cancer, and Natalie, a journalist like her dad, has been writing about the powerful emotions of losing a loved one in a monthly newsletter called The Sun Will Come Out.
She's been talking to our correspondent, Elaine Wilcox.
We still miss him all the time.
But just 6 months ago, still grieving the loss of your dad, your mum died.
Sometimes it feels targeted. I'm a bit like, what have we done? What's our family done to deserve this twice?
You're a journalist, you write beautifully, and you've started a newsletter about grief.
And I want to create a space where we're normalising talking about this stuff, where it doesn't have to be something we all recoil from. It's not catching. You're not going to catch the sadness by talking about it.
Is that where the anger comes from? Because you speak beautifully about that, and that really resonated with me.
Sometimes it bubbles up and you're irritable, you're frustrated, you're snappy. It can come out as depression, it can come out as anxiety when people are in a place where they need more support.
So how do you square that people are expected to go back to work so quickly?
After Dad died, I was told I had to come back to work the day after the funeral. There is also all of the admin. I call it sadmin or deathmin. You have so much to do.
You spoke so powerfully after your dad died, and he was on TV, so it was quite a public death, so people want to talk about him. Did things improve in terms of support when your mum died, or had people learned?
It's very strange to have the kind of comparison of going through a loss that was so public. He was trending on Twitter, he was on the 10 o'clock news, everybody knew. I had messages from hundreds of people. With my mum, it's the opposite end, and I guess that's what most people go through, in that you know, you lose someone who isn't a public figure, who isn't on TV. And it was quite jarring to feel this kind of quiet after we lost her. The amount of messages and stuff we got when Dad died, it was overwhelming at the time. It was so nice to hear about it in one way, but at the same time I was like, you don't know him. He was our dad. Why is everyone talking about him like you're sad when you're not as sad as we are?
Your dad died in the pandemic, which must have been awful.
He was in the hospice, and only me and Becky were allowed to be with him. So other people were talking to him through the window. That was so difficult, and even when it came to his funeral, there was a limit on the amount of people who could be in the room.
We as colleagues, we drew lots to see who could go, because everybody loved him.
Yeah. Now I look back and I'm like, wow, given the amount of loss there was in that time.
So in amongst all of this, the death of both your parents, you have your son. Yeah. And luckily enough, your mum got to spend some time with him.
It's heartbreaking that my dad didn't get to meet my son. He would have been the best granddad ever. In a way, it's kind of harder with my mum, because we got 3 months. The day after she died, Rafe, my son, laughed for the first time. But I think he knew that we needed to hear that.
One thing that really helped me when I lost my dad was some of the cards with funny anecdotes.
Learning new things about them in this moment is the most valuable. When I get a photo from somebody of my parents that I haven't seen, that is such a gem. Once you've lost someone, it feels like you've got a kind of dwindling resource of memories. So if someone can give you something else, you cling on to that, and that is such a beautiful gift you can give to someone.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful photos too. It's been lovely talking to you and learning a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. She's incredible, isn't she?
So incredible.
Both of those girls are. The one thing I remember about Tony was he always had a picture of Nat and Becky on his desk. Yeah. Always, as long as I knew him. He was so proud of them. It's just so lovely seeing that. Her smile's the same.
That booming laugh that Mozza had as well.
That booming laugh. And can you imagine him as a granddad as well? He would have been leading those grandchildren astray. They would have had so much fun with him.
Insane.
We miss him.
Really thought-provoking chat.
Still to come tonight.
It's one of Lowry's most famous paintings, and now to celebrate a very special anniversary, we're being given the chance to immerse ourselves completely inside that artwork. How cool is this?
It's been certainly difficult to keep cool today. There's a change on the way, though. I'll have all the weather details in the forecast in a few minutes.
OK, now if you live in this part of the world, Salford, then you'll know what a huge transformation the quays have been through in recent decades.
After the demise of the docks in the 80s, this area was pretty much derelict until the opening of the Lowry Arts Centre behind us.
And since then, it's really taken off. Even Granada Reports is here.
We certainly are.
The cool kids. And as the Lowry prepares to mark its 25th birthday, they've got big plans.
Yeah, and it's starting with a new celebration of the great man himself, L.S. Lowry. Our correspondent, Mel Burrows, has more.
It stood as a jewel in the crown at Salford Quays for a quarter of a century. Originally built to house the Lowry Art Collection, it first opened its doors 25 years ago.
And what better way to celebrate that anniversary than immersing yourself completely into one of his most famous paintings? And that's exactly what this new exhibition does.
Lowry 360 is the UK's first free, permanent, immersive experience that propels you right into the painting going to the match, complete with all the sights and sounds of this iconic work of art.
I think these immersive experiences attract new visitors and new audiences that might not want to go to a traditional gallery, so it's a great way of bringing new people in. But even those that are familiar with Lowry's work, I'm hoping that they'll find something new and different, and hopefully you've gained a new or different perspective.
Talking of perspectives, this place has really seen some changes. When the Lowry was first built, it was pretty much the only thing here at Media City, the ship-shaped building navigating the way for the regeneration of Salford Quays. Kate has worked here from the very beginning.
I started a month before the building opened. So it's still pretty much a building site, inside and outside. So seeing it grow and develop from this brand new venue to what we're in today is really quite exciting.
Since opening its doors in the year 2000, it's welcomed 18.5 million visitors, including the late Queen, who officially opened it, and Princess Anne, who came for the Royal Variety performance.
What have been the highlights for you?
Oh, there's so many. I danced with Anton Dubek in my office. That was quite exciting. I gave Adele a little pep talk before she went on stage for one of her first concerts to 1,700 people in the Lyric Theatre.
This is just one of a whole programme of exhibitions and events to mark this special birthday and celebrate a place that was built to spread the joy of art and creativity further and wider.
It's always been about celebrating amazing art in this fantastic place, Salford, and putting the art and the artists at the centre of everything that we do. So I'd like to think that if they were watching us now from 25, 30 years ago, they'd be like, yeah, they did all right.
The immersive experience opens on Saturday and will be a permanent fixture here at the Lowry. Mel Barham, ITV News, Salford Quays.
That looks well cool, doesn't it?
It's amazing.
On to sport now, and Sale Sharks are keeping hold of their rugby siblings. Ben and Tom Curry, who played together in this year's England Six Nations squad, have today signed new long-term contracts. They made their debut for the Sharks back in 2016.
Well, next to two more famous sporting siblings.
Yeah, Ricky and Matthew Hatton were boxing champions who topped the bill from Manchester to Las Vegas.
It's more than a decade since the brothers hung up their gloves, but the Hatton name will live on in the sport as their children are now carrying on the family tradition. Mike Hall has the story.
It's a sporting dynasty that started in the 1990s with this man, Ricky Hatton, who became a two-weight world champion. Ricky's brother Matthew was a European champ and was never once stopped in 52 professional fights. Matthew's son Jack is now following in his footsteps. At 17, he's already a national champion. And now Jack's 13-year-old sister Lola is taking her first steps in the sport.
If he had any hair, it'd be... I don't know what colour it'd be, mate. In all honesty, would I want them to box? The answer's no for both of them, because I know what a hard, tough, brutal sport boxing can be, especially professional boxing. But it's the way I've forged a career for myself. They've seen their uncle as well have a great career, do so well in the sport. So who would I be to tell them they can't do it?
Screw shot. Since first taking up boxing 3 years ago, Jack has already had 43 fights and been called up by England.
What is it like to be able to tap into the knowledge of your dad and your uncle like this?
Yeah, it's great.
because obviously Rick and my dad boxed at the top level of the sport, so if I'm not listening to them, then who else am I going to listen to? They've got all the knowledge.
Have you been able to watch any of their fights and learn about what they did before you were even born?
Yeah, sometimes I'll just be in my bedroom and I'll just put fights on and look at what they're doing and try and bring it into my own game in like my sparring. So yeah, I just like watch my dad's fights. He was just an all-round good boxer, tidy. He just all-round pretty much good at everything.
Praise indeed.
Praise indeed, yeah. It's an absolute madhouse, my house now. It's boxing, really is.
Of course, there's another member of the Hatton family missing today. Ricky's son Campbell is taking a break from the sport, but the cousins he inspired are giving the family plenty to cheer.
When Jack and Lola came along, I thought, oh no, I'm going to get the blame for this because I was the first one. I now know how my family and my mum and dad used to feel when me and Matthew used to go for the ring. And when Lola and Jack could do it the same, it's absolutely horrible.
So do you think it is that you and Matthew have inspired your kids, or is it in the blood?
I think it will be. I think it is in the blood. You know, at the end of the day, you know, me and Matthew grew up and we had parents that, you know, they had a pub, they had carpet shops, they worked hard to try and give us the best things we had. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. They've seen us give our everything to whatever we've done.
While Jack has his sights set on the Los Angeles Olympics and then turning professional, for Lola, this is just the beginning. She'll fight for only the 4th time at the National Schools Championships this weekend, with Dad, who's also trainer, in her corner. So how much do you love boxing now?
You know, like, I'm training every day. I just, like, Dad, can I spar today? Dad, will you take me on the pads? I just love it every single day.
Have you given him a black eye yet?
Not yet.
That's the ambition, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I've hurt him plenty of times.
Has he?
The job's getting harder, Mike. I still do a little bit of sparring with him. For how much longer, I'm not too sure. But what better view can I get of watching him and watching his progress?
It's a boxing story that's far from over. The next generation of Hattons are ready to take on the world. Mike Hall, ITV News in Hyde.
Yeah, go on, guys. There must definitely be something in the water because you've got all this family links to sport. The Currys, the Hattons, the Hall brothers, although I don't think boxing's really their forte, being in the ring. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong.
I'd love to see who'd win. No, that would be really interesting. Oh, can you imagine?
We'll arrange that for tomorrow, shall we?
Prime viewing. But next tonight, to a man who's kept part of the heritage of the Isle of Man alive for generations of tourists to enjoy.
Yes, 67-year-old Peter Cannon has been driving the island's iconic horse trams for 50 years.
Yeah, Peter, who's from Douglas, started volunteering on the tramway in 1975. Our Isle of Man reporter Joshua Stokes hopped on board to meet him.
On the tranquil shores of Douglas, there's a familiar sound on the island's promenade as the famous horse trams return for another season. And for one man, this isn't just any year, but his 50th on the historic tramway.
It was just a summer job, really, and I kind of grew into it. I wasn't expecting to be here for 50 years.
And what has kept you here?
Well, certainly not the money. I just enjoy it. It's better than working for a living, isn't it, you know?
Peter Cannon has dedicated his working life to the horses. From an early age, he's seen the tramway evolve through the years, promoting its unique appeal that's kept tourists coming for over a century.
The Bay of Douglas, Isle of Man, makes a perfect setting for something unique in this jet age. What must be the only horse tram service in the world.
The Douglas Bay Horse Tramway has been in operation since 1876, next year celebrating 150 years in service. But it was the 100th anniversary that was a particular highlight for Peter.
And that was quite a big day, quite a big event, big parade, horses paraded down to the other end. So that would probably be the highlight. There's too many incidents to mention, really. Just had a lot of fun over the years.
Yeah. Even though you're going down the same route every time?
It's surprisingly different. You know, people say, do you get bored looking at the horse's bum all the time? Well, not really. Years gone by, there was plenty going on the promenade to keep you alert, keep you watching what's going on, you know.
But it's Peter's love for the horses that's kept him in place for so long.
They just kind of grow on you. It's a strange thing, really. You know, you miss them when you're not here.
And does it feel like 50 years?
Depends on the weather. There's a saying, isn't it, if you can find something that you like as a job, you know, it's not like work, is it? Well, I suppose you could say I've never done a day's work in my life.
A dedication Peter intends to uphold, keeping the horses trotting for as long as he can. Joshua Stokes, ITV News, Douglas.
How about that for a killer question? Do you get bored of a horse's bum all day?
What's wrong with you tonight? You've got your funny undies on, Mr. Bamberley.
Before we go to the weather forecast, let's head outside into the evening sunshine.
Well, it has been lovely and sunny, and one place where spring is well and truly blooming is Road Hall in Cheshire.
The annual Bluebell walk is open for visitors to wander through, admiring the carpet of flowers.
And they're only there for a few weeks every spring, so our own Bluebell, Jennifer Buck, who's very colour coordinated tonight, joins us now. Jen.
Well, it's just looking so beautiful here in the evening sunshine, and it's been such a lovely day across the whole of the northwest, hasn't it? So what better place to be than walking through a garden of bluebells? And this has been the absolutely perfect day to launch this annual Bluebell walk at Road Hall and Gardens, and there's been plenty of people here today already enjoying these bluebells. And this field is just part of the estate here, so spare a thought for the people who have to maintain all these gardens. One of these is Sally, one of the gardeners here. Now, Sally, you must love your job on a beautiful day like today, but I imagine it's an all year round work for you.
Oh yes, absolutely, and particularly in February when we have a large snowdrop event, so there's lots of preparation for that. I'm helped all through the year by a good team of volunteers.
And just tell me what's so special about these beautiful bluebells we can see.
Well, they're English bluebells, so they have a lovely draping pendulous stem, nice dainty flowers hanging down one side of that. They're scented, an indicator of ancient woodland, and as you can see, perfect for pollinators from the bees and butterflies flitting round.
OK, thank you very much, Sally, who is one of the gardeners here at Road Hall and Gardens. And this whole Bluebell walk is open across the weekend through till Bank Holiday Monday. So what we really need is this beautiful sunshine to be continuing. So is that the case? Let's have a listen to the weather forecast. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. It's been our hottest day of the year so far, and tomorrow will be even warmer here in the northwest before a freshening for all of us from Friday, something more settled after we get a few showers out the way into the weekend, and temperatures will be returning to the seasonal average by Sunday. High pressure has kept things dry over the last couple of days and indeed does so into the weekend, but a weak front introduces more cloud through tomorrow night and into Friday, and behind that front, fresher conditions to end this week. Back to this evening, though, a really warm night ahead. Manchester not falling much below 15 degrees. Rurally, perhaps 8 or 9 Celsius and a few pockets of mist, but it's a dry and clear night with very light winds across the board. And a warm start for most of us tomorrow morning. Those are the sun times. It's up at 5:36, setting at 8:41 tomorrow evening. For many places tomorrow then, a really warm start to the day, plenty of sunshine from the word go and light winds. UV levels will be high. Through the afternoon there's a small chance of a thundery shower breaking out for the Lake District, the Pennines and perhaps the Peak District too, but for most of us staying dry, and it will be very warm, 26, 27 Celsius possible as we head through the afternoon. Cloud builds tomorrow night, that front sinks southwards, introducing slightly fresher conditions to end the working week. Friday, still plenty of bright sunny weather once the front moves through, but 18 Celsius will feel a good deal cooler. And into the beginning of the bank holiday weekend itself, high pressure is in charge, so it should be generally dry. You'll notice it's feeling cooler on Saturday, back down to the seasonal average by Sunday. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Yeah, hottest day of the year so far. Tomorrow's going to be lovely. It's going to be a scorch, but please look after yourselves. Keep hydrated. Stay in the shade if you need to. Look after yourselves.
And is that what's going on with you? Has the sun got you today? Is that what it is?
Well, the sun is shining. We'll see you later.
I'll see you for the late.